All right. Okay, let's see if this is going to work. Okay, so I have made a new page in your lab materials for online lab resources, and I was able to update it this morning because I got the information that I needed about how you guys actually access McGraw-Hill. So basically, McGraw-Hill Connect is one of those services that usually you guys would have to pay for access. So you'd buy their textbook and then you'd buy online access. And so, you know, it's not something I usually do because I prefer not to spend extra money. But, you know, the publishing companies have tried their best to step up for us. And so for this semester, they gave us free access so that we have online resources for a class we didn't plan on doing online. So the registration that you can follow is this link right here. And you'll put in your information, and then this code should be your registration code. So this should get you a free account. And once you have that account, you should be able to access McGraw-Hill through Canvas. So you may have noticed this link now on the left access page. This is what it looks like for me. I don't know what it looks like for you guys, but it should let you access McGraw-Hill. So one of the nice things about this is that we have access to a lot of stuff that we don't necessarily need, but it's kind of cool. So it didn't really matter what textbook I put in, but because we're not using the textbook per se. However, they did give us access to a textbook. So this is Saladin's Anatomy and Physiology, for example, which you're free to use, but I don't expect anybody to read. So, oh God, there's always something. I haven't looked at it because I've used it before. So this is an entire online textbook, and it's a good book. Let me see. There we go. Oh God, don't download, no. Okay, anyway, so you can access this whole textbook if you want additional resources. There's whatever this is too, they threw in. I think this might be just the online access. Yeah, there we go. So you can, yeah, there we go. That's the online access. That was scary. So that you can read any part of this book online. So definitely, like, there's going to be stuff on lever systems in here, for example, which I don't think our free textbook really covered. So if you want more information on that, definitely check that out. Okay, so you can see there's all the stuff we've talked about is going to be in there, and it's going to be a nice resource for nervous system as well. I haven't read everything in our free textbook about it, but this is a more in-depth textbook. So we do have that as just a, hold on, there we go, as kind of a happy coincidence. But the reason why we got this was so that we had lab stuff. So some of this, for example, we have a nice online atlas now, which means you're going to have lots of pictures. And there's a whole how-to on how to use it. Come on. So this goes through lots of things like the skeletal system, and there's practice here as well. So check this out. So for example, this nice picture of a skull in color. And you can, you know, put things in like test yourself. So that's handy. Oh, I see we have a question. Access to the tutoring resources. Okay, so I have to double check my emails. There's been so many emails that it's really hard to tell. But I know that there are some tutoring things available through Canvas. So NetTutor, the thing is that I don't know if we have good anatomy and physiology stuff. Yes, I'm sure that I agree to this. Hold on. So I know that NetTutor is available as an online tutoring resource. If it, but I don't remember seeing, the last time I looked at it, I don't remember seeing anything specific to anatomy and physiology, but it's entirely possible that anybody that's tutoring biology can help you with that. This might not work right away. This might be too many things for my poor computer to do. Okay, we're gonna come back to this. That's just endlessly cycling. So yeah, so there's this stuff to help you study. Not only the things that we've already done that I know you still need to cover because we haven't actually tested on this yet, right? So you can study this stuff because they have practice, and they also have just all the pictures and stuff. So see, like this one is sutures of the skull lateral view. And so if there's one that you need to know, like lambdoid suture, click on that, it shows you, right? Coronal suture, click on that, it shows you. So in some ways, some of this online stuff's actually better because it's easier to tell what it's pointing to versus reading some of those diagrams. And the other thing, the big part is, so there's a couple of physiology assignments that I'm going to assign you because we have them and they're going to help you understand the concepts. They're not very long, and let me see, I should be able to, oh, no, it's not what I want to do. And okay, I can't show it to you, but they're very self-explanatory. They walk you through every single step. So it should be pretty straightforward to do them. So give that a go as soon as you can and let me know if you have any trouble with it after you create your account and work on it. The other nice thing about these guys is you should be able to access them through your Canvas assignments because it's synced up. So I know at least some of you noticed that they're in there. So you should be able to access them straight through Canvas. What we're going to do for anatomy is this guy. So this cadaver dissection tool is going to go along with the other website and the app that I also linked, and I'll show you guys those next. So this is pretty cool. It's all pictures of cadavers. So we're, no, we don't get to dissect cats, but this means I don't have to find like cat dissection videos to access because this is more relevant to this course than a cat dissection because now we're getting to look at human muscles instead of cat muscles. So, and sorry, I'm jumping around a little bit here, but come on, go away. There we go. Oh my God, I need to hide that. Give me 1 second. Oh, sorry about that. Okay, so let me go back to this. So you'll see on the online lab resources module that I note that there's an updated muscle list. So I took the list, I took all the cat stuff out because we're not going to do the cat stuff. And I added just a couple of human muscles because now we have these online models that really let us see them. Not a ton, just a couple that we didn't have good models of at school. So this is the list we're going to use. We're not going to use the old one, okay? There's not a big difference between them, but there's a couple of small differences, okay? So make sure that you download this list, and it's in the files too as muscles to know, because you're going to use that with these guys. So the way you'd use this is you select your module. For now, we're going to do muscular, okay? You can also go back and look at skeletal as part of your studying. So you have lots of different ways to study the anatomy. This is the one that I expect you to use though. Everything else is supplemental. So you go into your muscular. And for our purposes, you're going to want to find the muscles on the list. Now, the muscles on the list are organized by location, right? And so is this. You okay over there, Brenda? Remember, we see everything on the video. It's okay. Nobody's watching. I just get distracted. Okay, so let me show you the head. So we can pick head and neck as a location. And then there's several different views. You probably want to go through each one in turn. And you can see there's a list of the muscles that you can find. And then down here, there's layers. Now the layers is the handy one, the one that you want to learn how to manipulate. So the first layer is skin. Not super useful for us, okay? Although if we were learning it where we wanted to know exactly where a muscle was under the skin, you know, that's fine. But I find it easier. So for example, this is the frontalis. This is the muscle of your forehead. All right. So this is the first layer of muscles. I can make that go away if I want to. I can also, if I want to see them all labeled, I can click on it. And now you can see there's a pin for every muscle that we can find. Now you don't need to know all of these muscles, okay? Only look at the ones on the list. This one, for example, I did add to the list because it's one of our circular muscles and it's the one around our eye. So this, for example, is orbicularis oculi. Now, if you're looking for it and you don't want to go through that, then you can simply find it on the list, click on it, and it highlights. So you can do it both ways. The other thing you can do, give away, hold on. I'm still learning the details of these controls as well. Okay, well, I don't remember how to make that go away, but anyway. The other thing that you can do is if you're like, well, what's this one? You can click on it in theory, and it should stop it. Or not. Take it back. That's not happening. Anyway, I can go deeper, for example. So this is the third layer. Skin and superficial muscles are gone. And now we can see things like the trapezius muscle. And this guy, sternocleidomastoid, major neck muscle here. Both of these guys are ones that you want to know. Although trapezius is not down in our list for head and neck, it's sort of down for posterior back, but everything is connected in real life, right? So we don't see these discrete separations. And like right here, for example, this isn't really on here, but this is your clavicle right here. And if you want to know that for sure, you can make all of the layers go away. So there's one more layer down. Now we see a bunch of little neck muscles. Make those go away. Hey, look, it's your trachea. And we make that go away. And we got a skeleton. Even though this is muscular system, if you take it all away, you end up with the skeleton. So you can see the clavicle right there. So then if I make the muscles come back, you can see a little better how it connects. Okay, so this is there's no reason to make the skin. Okay, so you can do this for all different parts of the body. Don't worry about some of this stuff. So see how these lists are muscle attachments? We don't need to know muscle attachments. So you don't need to use any of these because you're not going to worry about what this looks like. Because this is going to show you the bones with the little markings. We do not need to know this, so we're not going to go to that. We're going to stick to the muscles. So for example, we can go to hip and thigh, do an anterior view. Now again, skin, not useful, still there, more realistic. But we make the skin go away because we're here for muscles, right? And now we can start to see things. So this guy, for example, longest muscle in the body, sartorius, highlighted, right? And this guy over here, for example, also, which doesn't always appear super well on our models, tensor fascia lata, okay? And I think, no, it doesn't. And like this stuff here, which doesn't highlight on this particular thing, this is our iliotibial band. This is the tendon that this muscle tenses right here. Okay, so this is replacing dissection. Does this make sense? Because literally this is a dissected cadaver, and why would we look at cats in a human anatomy physiology when we have access to people? Okay, so this is the main reason why we have this McGraw-Hill stuff. The physiology things that I'm going to assign you, they are going to count towards your participation points, and we're going to use them because they're here and because they help. But the main focus here is the anatomy, because honestly, there's not a ton of the physiology ones that are going to be relevant to what we're covering. And I may have to find additional websites, kind of like the osmosis thing that you guys hopefully have done now, to probably supplement our physiology stuff. Okay, so this is McGraw-Hill. Does anybody have questions about McGraw-Hill before I show you the other two things? All right, so make this go away. That go away. Go back to screen sharing. Didn't mean to come out of screen sharing. Okay, so then the other things that we're going to do, or use, I should say, for anatomy, are this website and this app. Agnes, you have a question. Yes? No? Okay, Agnes raised her hand accidentally, that's fine. All right, so this website has some really nice models. Sorry about that noise. If you heard it, that means I got an email. Not super helpful right now. So this is basically replacing the model aspect of our anatomy. And I want to use both because of kind of the same reasons why we were using them when we were doing the cat dissection. Because even though now we have this cadaver stuff, it's still a little different. And this is kind of like, the models are kind of like the idealized way the muscles look, whereas the cadaver is more, it's real, but it's still not quite the way it looks in real life, if that makes sense. So this and the app are very, very similar to each other. I was playing with both of them over the weekend. So I don't think you have to do both. It's just kind of like if you're mostly using a computer or a tablet, this is probably going to be easier. If you're using a phone or tablet's probably the same too, then the app will probably be easier, but they're quite similar to each other. I think you'll get the same stuff out of it. So again, there's a free account that you can make here. Please do not spend money on this. We do not need, you can spend money, but we don't need it for this course. So you can go into Anatomy by Systems, and come on. The problem with screen sharing is that then the screen sharing stuff ends up in my way. Okay, that'll work. They have some redundant and overlapping stuff here too. So for example, they have muscular system and they have musculoskeletal system. Either one should be good to get you muscle. They have male and female as well. They're going to be pretty similar. And looking at one versus the other shouldn't make a big difference as far as these systems are concerned. Why am I getting so many emails right now? Okay. All right, so here's our basic model. There is a tutorial that you can go through as far as how to manipulate it, but it's really nice because if you do a single mouse click, you get to rotate your model. And then if you do a double mouse click, you can kind of pan your model. And you also have the ability on here, just like on our cadaver dissections, to hide different layers. So for example, this muscle here, pectoralis major, I can disappear it, and then I can go back into here to my select, and I can click on here. This is pectoralis minor, and it links usually to Wikipedia, as it turns out, to give you information. Now, you don't necessarily need this information because all you guys need to know is what the muscle name is and where it's located, right? But sometimes this is handy. And then you can do all of the other things, hiding it. Isolating it's kind of weird, but if you really want to isolate things, you can. Oh gosh. All right, well, anyway. So you can do that. And then you can go down to reset to get yourself back to this whenever you want to. The other thing that happens, if you just double click on something, it's gonna bring you up closer. So then you're gonna zoom in on that region. And you can also do that down here. So if you go to this part where it's expand 3D controls, this little arrow guy, that lets you zoom in, zoom out, switch between panning and rotating as far as what your single click does. This guy is recentering, so it brings you right back to the start as well. You can put it on full screen, and then you click back to this to get you back to being able to fade or hide different muscles. So it's a pretty well set up. I mean, I was looking at apps and programs. I've searched for them multiple times over the last 4 or 5 years and somehow haven't found this one before. The access code for McGraw-Hill, Agnes. Oh, sorry, that's private. Sorry about that. It's on the, it's right here. Give me 1 second. Oh, go away, controls. Oh my God. Screen sharing has pros and cons. So it's right here. This code is your access code. Yeah, so this should let you pretty much do all the same things that the cadaver thing does. And you can either, click on muscles to ID them, or you should be able to search stuff somewhere. Oh yeah. And then there's a search as well. So if you're like, I cannot find, you know, XYZ muscle, right? You're like, I don't know where iliopsoas is. So you're like, okay, where's the iliopsoas? Oh, okay, there's the iliopsoas. And you can find it, okay? So you shouldn't be able to have a muscle that you cannot find because you can always go into a search. And so this guy and the cadaver supplement each other really nicely. Now, if you're mostly on your phone, then you might want to do this app. I used the Bio digital one first, and then I tried this, and I found them to be quite similar. They have all the same stuff. So again, make sure you're just getting a free version. It'll put the app on your phone, and you can also do a computer version as well. And it's very, very similar in that you're able to look at the anatomy and stuff. The other thing about these guys too is that they're going to have, again, good bone stuff. Skeletals down here somewhere. So that you can also study the stuff that we already did in lab, but we haven't tested on it yet, right? So we still got to figure that out, which is going to be, again, through Canvas with pictures instead of models, right? So let's see if I can remember how to do this. Read more. How did I get to bone markings? Was it on this one? I don't remember. Okay, I know that there's bone markings somewhere. And now, oh, look at that. There's always the help. That's great. Thanks. Not what I needed at the moment. All right, I don't remember how to do it right now, but I know there were bone markings somewhere so that you guys can study that. So these are our anatomy things. As far as I can tell, these models, model applications are pretty good. And oh, that reminds me, the thing that I didn't show you on McGraw-Hill. So there will be certain things, and I'll show you again when they become relevant, because we're not doing a lot of it right now. But so for example, you know how we looked at tissues when we were doing bone, right? Which again, we haven't actually done yet. And we did it with muscle as well. So we looked at the different types of muscle tissue. We looked at the different types of bone. Well, we looked at bone and cartilage. So if you look at this, we have several different little options here. So this is a scalpel, so it's meant to represent the dissection. There are also, if you want, for certain things, there are some videos that you can look at here. So, you know, they've got like a skull tour, they've got appositional bone growth, they've got movements of different joints. So you can look and see what they have and see if any of them are relevant to help. I mean, like, we don't need to know these particular movements or anything like that, but like tour of synovial joints. So they have that stuff. they have, which we don't need, but you might find interesting, they have all sorts of different imaging modalities. So they have stuff like X-ray and CT images. So for example, here's skull X-rays. And again, we don't need this for us, but then you can also look at the anatomy in there. So it's interesting if you're like just curious. But the one that we can make use of is that they have histology as well. So for example, this is the skeletal. So we have our 3 cartilages and we have our 2 different types of bone tissue. So we have elastic cartilage, we've got 2 different magnifications, and there's a picture of the cartilage. It's not like amazing or anything, but they are there. And so that means as we go forward and look at nervous system stuff in the future, we're going to have access to the histology as well. So let's look at the muscular. So we go into muscular and we click on the microscope one. It takes us to histology. And then we can see we've got skeletal muscle where we're showing striations. I mean, that's kind of crazy. And it can even point out different things like the dark ones are the A bands and the light ones are the I bands. And that's not super helpful because that's everything for the muscle fiber, but pointing out nuclei. So, but it also has, for example, cardiac muscle with intercalated discs. And you're looking at it and you're like, okay, so I think I remember what the intercalated discs are, but you click on intercalated disc, it highlights every single one. So that's pretty cool. And it's gonna help us as we go forward and start looking at histology for nervous system and digestive system, because we won't have a chance to look at that stuff under actual microscopes. We're gonna have histology access options too, okay? So if you don't have good pictures of all of the different slides that we have looked at in lab that you should be, studying and being able to identify, because we did cover those tissues, right? This is a good way to study them. What else? What else? So I think that's everything for this week. If there's anything else for muscular system, we can certainly tackle it on Wednesday or next week. Your lab exam won't be until the 13th is when I'm planning on having us do it. So you'll have all of next week as well to study that stuff. So anything that I haven't covered for lab, we can talk about next Monday, and we can review stuff next week as well, and make sure we all feel comfortable with how we're gonna be taking the lab practicals going forward. Anybody have any questions?
So what is everything that's going to be on the test next week?
So the test for next week is the lecture test, and that's everything that we have covered since the last test. So the last test we covered skeletal, so that means that the next test is muscle. So chapter 10, muscle tissue, and chapter 11, muscular system.
All right, thank you.
You're welcome. Good question. Any other questions? Okay, and I will post this schedule. I'll make a note on the bottom. Basically, if it's highlighted, that means I haven't really decided for sure. I don't really know what we're doing there yet, but I think everything else should be fairly likely to stay the way it is. And then as the lab stuff gets figured out, then I'll keep updating you and posting updated ones, and obviously telling you about it on these Zoom things. Okay, so Sarah, next lecture exam is on 11/2/14. Yeah, the one, yeah, exactly. The ones in the module for this are the ones that are being covered. So that is everything in here. Lecture materials part 3 is what the next lecture exam is going to be. And that's everything. So this is lecture 14 we'll do on Wednesday. And that should be everything that we're covering for that exam. And then next Monday, I'll do a review, you know. So if you want me to go over the contraction cycle, neuromuscular junction, any of the big stuff or any of the little stuff, explain anything again, just let me know. If you can't attend it, shoot me an email ahead of time and I can cover it even if you're not there, okay? So if you have questions that you want me to answer in a lecture format or through these, you know, live lectures, even if you can't be here, you can send me an email ahead of time and I can cover it and you can watch it later. Any other questions? So the entire lecture will get posted. I'm posting everything on YouTube. Everything that we're doing on Zoom that I'm recording is getting posted on YouTube. And then what I'm gonna do, there will be a playlist because I have another class. So they've got a playlist and you guys will have a playlist. Or you guys might have two. I might make one for lecture, one for lab. So here's how it's gonna go. I'm gonna make a module and it's gonna be YouTube video links. And that module will then have different pages on it where I post the links. Now the cool thing about Canvas is that I can actually, if I post a YouTube video link, it'll actually post so that you can play the video in Canvas, or it'll take you to Canvas, or it'll take you to YouTube and you can watch it directly. And then YouTube will be doing the automatic closed captioning, which is not perfect, but it's pretty good. And it's way faster than me actually going back and transcribing the lectures, which I do not have time for. So that you'll get the, you know, the written words as well. So I'll post a link every time there's a video, and it'll be located in this module. But once you go onto YouTube, you can also just subscribe, like, which is weird. I've never posted videos before, guys, and it's really weird that now I have like a channel and it's kind of freaking me out. But so this is my other class. So they have a playlist. They are Bio250. So like they're doing the end of the skeletal system, and this week they're going to do the muscular system. So these are their videos. So they have a playlist. Okay, they do not have a playlist. They're supposed to have a playlist that I might still have to make, apparently. I thought I did. And you guys will have one for lecture, and I'll make you one for the lab ones too, so you don't have to sort through. So you can certainly, I think, subscribe to my channel, which I very cleverly named Anatomy and Physiology Lectures, and you can just access it through there, or you can watch them all in Canvas or access them all individually through the links in Canvas. So just because there happens to be a lot of redundancy in this, you have a lot of different options. No, you can use whatever username makes you happy, because I I don't know what everybody's situation is. So I'm not going to require attendance, and that means that I'm not going to give you guys points for attendance because I don't want to penalize the people that can't be here. It's different when we were in live stuff. You know, everybody signed up to be there at that time. You guys committed to it when you joined the course. But I don't know what's changed in all of our lives. So there's no attendance points, no attendance tracking for live stuff. I'm going to do as much like worksheets, especially for lab, as possible. And so if there's anything that's worth like 0 points or it's just like a little thing, that'll all go to your participation points. That's how you guys will still get participation points. And then the physiology assignments, I think I set them to be due on Monday. So that you guys, basically the idea is I want you guys to use McGraw-Hill as soon as you can. And they are not very, let me double check. They're not long. And like I said, they're pretty self-guided and stuff. So yeah, they're both due April 6th. I don't know why it says 8:59 p.m. Oh, I know why. Because McGraw-Hill is set to Eastern Standard Time. So it's 8:59 p.m. because that was me setting it to midnight Monday night. Which also means if you have trouble, I'm here all week and I'm here Monday morning to help you get those assignments done. Any other questions? Okay, if nobody else has questions right now, then we can stop this guy. Again, you guys